I'll tell you, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, are you running that Cab City now? Are you in charge of that?
Yeah,
Are you?
yeah, we just, you might smell pretty cowy. I didn't get a chance to stop by home and clean up.
I was gonna say, why? Don't you have enough on the? I'll tell you, Tom.
Yeah. I didn't know if they could hear us.
Well, I'm glad you got someone good up there.
Well, Hughes is big challenge.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. You know, he kind of ran that thing for 30 some years. Yeah. It's a busy time, breeding season now.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wants something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just I raced in, we did 100 and some bulls there today. I didn't make her buy home to clean up. It looks like we still got a little time. You don't like the weather today, something's wrong with this.
Boy, that's for sure. Well, that blows away that we get out in the open. Out
No.
there. I think we're supposed to just tell them, wait, we're supposed to get a bunch of water here on it.
On Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa's not here tonight.
Yeah, she called in sick today, so
You're the diehard.
yeah. These days I don't be able to take vacation. Or my cell phone isn't. Maybe that thing here. I took off Friday because Becky had some things that she needs to get done.
Yes.
And I was still answering emails
Really?
on my day off. Even then, I said, okay, I need to stop. I got back in the office this morning with 26 emails. I didn't think I was that popular, except for the, with the extended warranty people. I like to call that.
Oh, sure. I've lost most of those generation of that.
Sure. No, sure.
Not very well.
Great.
Let's just want to get this thing right. We have any issues. Technology, especially lately there. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah, there's still a lot of them around.
Yeah, they were purely impressed. I be able to just really what I was talking
Yeah,
that's fine. It was really, it was pretty.
So I think people are.
We had a lot of it. And they were really impressed with the area. No buyers.
A little too far.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah, we're close enough. Somebody comes in, we'll start over. John, can you hear us?
Yes,
Yeah, Diane and Nathan? Can you hear us?
unmute yourself, Diane.
She's speaking, but we can't hear her.
Yeah, she's muted herself.
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay to start?
There, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
What?
I haven't seen him come up. Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan, can you hear us?
Isn't it on?
I don't think Nathan's on.
No.
Oh, Nathan's not here, okay. Who's that other?
It's Amanda.
Okay, super. Well, it's 7:30. I'd like to open the joint meeting of the Raleigh County Planning Board and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Two of the board members are here tonight. Two will be on the Zoom. So we always have a section for open public comment. I see a lot of faces that we've seen here before. So if anybody has anything they'd like to share with us about planning and development, why it's the opportune time. Seeing no action, well, we're going to move on to our consent agenda this evening, which consists of consider the minutes of our February the 8th meeting and to consider the report of fees for the month of February. Those items are in our packet. Does any of the board members have any corrections, additions, motion to approve?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay, fine, Nathan.
Barely made it.
Yeah. Would someone like to make a motion regarding the consent agenda unless you have any questions? I know you just got here, Nathan. Did you? No, I mean.
I move I make a motion that we move to approve the consent agenda for this evening
Thank you, Joe.
and the report of fees.
Okay. Diane, you second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, yeah, been moved and seconded. We approve the consent agenda as presented in our packet this evening. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 5-0. In our, we have no items this evening in our general agenda for the Raleigh County Board of Zoning Appeals. So I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn the joint meeting and reconvene as the Raleigh County Planning Board.
So moved.
Really second.
I will.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the joint meeting of the Raleigh County Planning Board and Board of Zoning Appeals and reconvene as the Raleigh County Planning Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Who did the motion?
I did. And Nathan
Okay.
and Joe second. We have one item on our
Mr.
general.
Chair. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I ask a question. Bob, do you want me to kind of keep track of who makes a motion and seconds it for you?
That would be nice. I'm still doing it. I'm gonna try, but yeah.
Okay.
it would hurt.
I'll keep track too, so between the two of us,
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. Thank
no
you.
problem.
We have one item on our agenda as the Raleigh County Planning Board this evening. It's a public hearing regarding the Peterson Ranch for a final plat of into 18 residential lots. Bob, will you update us, please?
Sure. Let me do this. I'm gonna share the screen. I'm gonna do this first. Here. Open this. Anyone see that at home?
Yes,
Okay, great. I'll probably get my handle on this. Okay. Well, first of all, good evening, folks. Excuse me. Representing Peterson Ranch LLC, Lynn Blecka has made application with Riley County Planning and Development requesting to final plat tract of land into 18 residential lots to be known as Peterson Ranch Unit 1. The subject property is located approximately 900 feet north of Tuttle Creek Boulevard at the northern terminus of Thomas Ware Road, generally located north of the Raleigh County Public Works shops and ATA bus. The subject site consists of approximately 174 acre unplatted tract. As you may recall, the applicant purchased the subject property in April of 2020 with the intent of developing it into several very low density single family residential lots. The request is approved. The applicant intends to also file restrictive covenants along with the final plat of the property and form a homeowners association. Not sure why the resolution is like that, but we're going to deal with it. Staff recommends the final plat of, I like to jump ahead, don't I? The request was, the property was rezoned, successfully rezoned on January 4th of 2021 by the Board of County Commissioners. So that is what you see there is the difference between the residential plan unit development zoning color and the surrounding AG agricultural district in gray. Again, the subject property had no variances, conditional uses, special uses associated with the property, and as it is now, it still does not. Raleigh County Fire District Number 1 will continue to serve the site. The Tuttle Creek Fire Station, which is Station 12, located at 4120 Highway 13, will serve as the primary responder to the site. Emergency turnarounds have been included approximately every 1,000 feet, one on proposed Lot 2 and one on proposed Lot 4 from the proposed extension of Thomas Ware Road, which I will get to in a moment. The subject site is located within 5 road miles of fire station. Now, this is the 174 acre subject site. The proposed subdivision development is for, as mentioned, 18 single family residential lots ranging in size from 5 to 14 acres, resulting in a very low residential density development. Additionally, each lot will have a building envelope central to each particular lot, which functions as large building setback distances from lot lines. These building envelopes also range in size and are based on the topography of the individual lot. The applicant proposes that each lot will have direct access to publicly dedicated street shown here. The applicant is proposing to extend Thomas Ware Road through to an unplatted tract east of the site with right-of-way reserved to connect to future development. One change from the preliminary plat was the name of the cul-de-sac. The proposed plat was vetted with the Director of Raleigh County Emergency Management, and he suggested it be changed from Valley Circle to Thomas Ware Circle. Yeah, because of obviously the name was, it sounded too similar to other names already in use. On December 14th of 2020, the Raleigh County Planning Board approved the preliminary plat of Peterson Ranch Unit 1, including the request to reduce the required agricultural buffer from 200 feet to 150 feet. So it was determined that all requirements of the Raleigh County subdivision regulations, zoning regulations, and sanitary code were met. And just to review, the Raleigh County Rural Fire Chief reviewed the request and stated that although there is rural water that will serve the site, fire hydrants cannot be placed on their lines and will not be available. He strongly recommended that since Thomas Ware Road will be terminating in a cul-de-sac and not be a through road and will be over 500 feet in length, the development should include turnarounds as part of the extension of Thomas Ware Road approximately every 1,000 feet to allow fire trucks the ability to maneuver in and out of the area and to retrieve and deliver water. Thus, as shown here, a turnaround has been designated at the entrance of Lot 2 and Lot 4 and shall be included
with the road construction plans. At any time, by the way, road construction plans should be submitted to Public Works for their review. The cul-de-sac of Thomas Word Road and Thomas Word Circle will provide adequate turnaround for emergency vehicles for the area of development. Also, just as a reminder, as part of the final plat, the existing 6-inch line, rural water line, transecting lots 14 through 18, that will be abandoned, and the easement vacated as in favor of relocating the line along the proposed extension of Thomas Word Road. It's proposed that a 2 or 4-inch line will serve lots along proposed Thomas Word Circle. Staff recommends the final plat of Peterson Ranch Unit 1 be approved, as it was found to be in substantial compliance with the preliminary plat and the Riley County subdivision regulations, zoning regulations, and sanitary code. That's all I have. If you have any questions, again, there was one change, and that was the name of the cul-de-sac. That is it.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Does any board member have any questions or things for Bob at this time?
I have a question. In the emergency management comment and stuff, he said that he needed to have fire hydrants also. Did I hear you say that there weren't fire hydrants, Bob?
Let me clarify. I thought this would be an issue. Pat Collins, before he retired, reviewed this thing and said he understood that no matter what, rural water was not going to provide fire hydrants. That's not what they do, no matter where, no matter what. And there might be, if you might be able to talk them into a couple of fill points here and there. But as it is, the two things that he wanted was the turnarounds and the shorter cul-de-sacs and the larger cul-de-sacs as well. And so those were proposed by the applicant and met, so he signed off on it. Meanwhile, the new fire chief started and was unaware that this has already been taken care of. No changes since from the point. So the comments that you see in the staff report are from the new fire chief, which it's again his job to point out that developments need to have fire hydrants. He's unaware that rural water, as I mentioned to him, do not supply or do not, they're not in the business, in other words, of firefighting. And that's been their stance since day one.
Right. So what is the chance of having a fill point or something within a close location, just because you've got so many houses there and with so many trees and stuff that, you know, if something started, that it could spread very fast. And so if they have to go very far to fill, you know, if they've run out of water and they have to go fill.
There's been talk with rural water. There's been no mention of a fill point. I don't think that they're, maybe Lynn want to say something in regard to that.
There are cleanouts. It's what the rural water department calls them. And those points can be used only by the fire department to fill their trucks, their tanks, whatever. They cannot be used by anyone else, but they are there, and the fire department estimates how much water they used, and they reimburse the rural water for that water that they use. So there can't be called fire hydrants, but they're clean outs that they can use to fill their tanks.
Do you know how many fill up or
fill points?
I believe there are two. I think
in that?
One at the north end of Thomas Word Circle, and one somewhere near the other cul-de-sac to the east.
Okay. Okay,
Otherwise, Diane, it's all gonna have to be hauled in there if there's ever a problem.
yeah, pretty
And that's
much.
when, that was back in the preliminary plat. That's why I was asking questions about if this was a good idea to put a housing development out that far from where you only got rural water and no fire hydrants. I mean, it's still a concern, and it'll always be a concern. And I guess the people that are going to build houses there are just going to have to realize that they don't have the amenities that they have within the city limits. And they're going to have to rely on rural fire. And you know what? We're all volunteers, and we'll get there as fast as we can. And, as far as those turnaround points, I think there ought to be several more, but, it is what it is. And I think this deal should have still been looked in very more heavily than what it did for fire protection. So that's my 2 cents for this whole deal about the fire deal. So anyhow.
This was a public hearing, which we haven't really opened as of yet. The questions were basically directed there to Bob. Does anybody have any more questions specific for Bob? I don't see any. So at this time, it's a public hearing. So I'd like to open the public hearing. And so is there anyone here in the public that wants to add anything other than what Bob has mentioned at this time?
Just one more comment on the water filling. The Riley County shops just south of Tuttle Creek Boulevard, there is I believe it's a 6-inch point there that is available to fill fire trucks and so forth. Pat Collins, I think, mentioned that to me at one point. John, do you have any knowledge of that? Or?
Yes, that is true. There is a 6-inch there. Yeah.
Did you have something else to add, Vince?
No, I haven't been here long enough to find out to really know what we have with that.
Okay. Any other discussion from the public before we close the public hearing? And at that time, then we'll talk amongst ourselves. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion that we close the public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing and go into deliberation mode.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
All right, Joe. It's been moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes 5-0. We'll come back to the board for some discussion. Bob, I'd read in the agenda, I thought it said that rural water line, when it was going to be moved and going to the right of way, was going to be a 4 to 6.
6.
I believe you had said earlier in your thing, you said 2 to 4.
That's the line going north along Thomas Word Circle. So the 6-inch is going to be going across here like this, and then the cul-de-sac that goes up.
Okay.
Yeah, like I can bring the map up.
Okay.
Just show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this line right here that you see in blue,
Yes.
that's going to come up here onto the roadway. So it's going to be easier for them to access and maintain.
Okay.
Off of that line to serve these lots up here, there's going to be a 2 to 4. It just hasn't been determined yet.
It's 4.
It's gonna be a
Okay,
4.
it has been determined.
Okay.
Yeah, it's be a 4.
Yeah. Do the board members have any other? I know, John, I know the fire issues is an issue for all of us. I don't, kind of like you say, it's kind of, it is what it is, and people that build out there will be aware of what they have to
Yeah, well,
to service that. Yeah.
we was out on a fairly good sized fire this afternoon. Homeowner burnt some brush a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and it rekindled, and boy, she took off. So I hope Mr. Blecker realizes what he's getting into by putting this subdivision in out there. And, it's with the conditions that we have at present day, and if there's a bunch of houses there, I mean, things could be ugly. So I guess that's my biggest concern is the fire protection
Sure.
of this whole situation.
Yeah.
Diane, you have anything to add?
No, I hear what you all are saying about that fire stuff. I mean, it's a big concern of mine too. We had an instance that we had pushed some brush together and stuff and burned it a month ago. And Larry was cleaning it up and dug down into it, and it was still a live fire down in the ground. And so, you know, with gullies and stuff out there, people clean things and push them into it. Who knows how long it'll burn.
Need to keep the grass mowed around the houses though. I mean, you could mitigate some of that stuff, hopefully. I mean,
Sure,
Oh, yeah.
sure.
I mean,
you could,
we live in the country, we depend on the rural, we don't have water lines. We deal with it now for years.
Was anyone comfortable with making a motion regarding the application?
I'll go ahead and move to approve the final plat. Is there something else I need to add to that?
That's it.
Okay,
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the final plat as presented in our packet, and all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 5-0. Get building.
Thank you.
I do wanted to make an announcement here before I forget. The Board of County Commissioners will hear this request March 18th at 9:50 a.m. in the Board of County Commission chambers. Folks, we have a Mylar out here for you to sign. Diane, John, we're going to have you come by at some point to sign that Mylar.
Okay.
You can just sign in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's your leisure.
All right.
Super. Thank you all for coming. You bet. You bet. Yep. Our second item on our planning board agenda this evening is the annual report. I know we got a nice book full of a world's worth of information. Yeah. Bob, does any of the board members have anything specific that they'd like to ask or make comments regarding the annual report? So there's a lot of information in there.
oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, a lot of information. Looks like everybody's pretty active this year. See, I had, can't think now. I made a note here.
Well, and just looking through it and stuff, it sounds like this last year was a pretty normal year, really. as far as
Yeah,
things
You work for us.
We worked down or it was,
yeah.
yeah, about the same as what it's been other years.
One of the things I want I'd like to recommend to the board is to take a closer look at this, because up next is our annual review of the comp plan. So we want to take a look at that and see if you feel that the comprehensive plan is succeeding and its objectives. It's accomplishing the objectives of the plan. That's what we're looking at. I know I don't think we have any petitions next month, but I think we most likely will end up canceling the meeting. But I would like to get that executive summary of the plan to every one of you and have you start looking over that and comparing it to this. And we're going to take another look at it, because believe it or not, Vision 2025 is closing in on its horizon, 20-year horizon. It doesn't expire necessarily. It just kind of, it's good to update, you know. So we need to be thinking of what parts of the plan you feel that are working. Maybe obviously the technical stuff, like the demographics need to be updated, maps and the dates and that kind of thing, and see what we're dealing with. Things have changed since we put this thing together. What parts of it philosophically and conceptually you feel that are working and you want to see continue, that kind of thing. And we'll have a discussion with our director and see where we want to go with that eventually. But first things first, though, we'll need to
do our annual review of this, of the comprehensive plan this year. So again, we don't necessarily have the need for me to hand out the executive summary. I'll probably just end up sending it to you, so we can review it. And I do believe we're going to have some stuff for May.
So one of the things we addressed in 2025 was people going out and buying 20 acres and putting houses all over. Do we feel that the 2025 has addressed that and kept the urban sprawl more centrally located? Has that been working?
Oh, absolutely. You'll see in the annual report is the number of lot of record. And that was that compromise that we feel that we had to make for the 20 acre and larger lot. Some of the lot of record though is not just 20 acre tracts and above. The tracts that were smaller than 20 acres in size that were created prior to 1980, those are lots of record. And if they can meet the sanitary code, they could probably have a house on it. That's where it goes. But really, in comparison to the number of building permits that were issued for 20 acre tracts, as compared to now, it's quite a bit fewer.
That's good.
That overall building permits being issued. So I don't think there has been, with the exception of maybe this, over the last 4 or 5 years, especially, maybe longer, we haven't had a lot of rezonings for a house. Lots of them been like residential use designators for houses that are already there, or even in some cases, ag exemptions for houses that are already there. They're actually using the farmstead. So that's kind of a plus. So I think in that regard, the plan is doing its job. But again, there's all kinds of talk, and people feel that maybe the plan may be too restrictive or this or that. We just have to look it over and evaluate and push that. And give that report to the Board of County Commissioners. So that's up next.
Speaking of the lot of record deal, Bob, at one time, say you owned 160 acres, and you wanted to sell off a tract, a house.
Yeah.
Was one split allowed?
Well, it wasn't. You could split it 4 times at one time. No, prior to 2012, before this change occurred,
Yeah.
you could sell the whole thing off 20 by 20, like dealing out cards.
Yeah, no, I knew it could, but wasn't there something in there like a rural person, agricultural person had 160 acres agricultural land, and they wanted to let their children, family member, build a house. I thought there was like a one-time lot split allowed on that or something.
That wasn't the case here, not in Riley County. Now, Pot County had the one-time thing.
Well, I thought we talked about that. I thought that was.
That may be talked about.
We did, there was something on there about that it could have one house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is
that right?
It's not, Riley County did not have that in place.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up tonight, anyhow, a person called me and they have a quarter and they want to give their children whatever acreage is to meet the requirements to do that. And they'd asked me, and I said, that shouldn't be no problem. I said, I think you're allowed one lot split. You can just go do it. Well, they found out that they can't.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring it up tonight because I don't think that's right for a farmer that's had a quarter of section for 30 or 40 years, and they want to let family member come build a house on there.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've spoke with the
Yeah.
people, and I asked point blank, I said, are your children farmers?
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not.
And so it goes back to the fundamental of, how do we do this? Do we put another condition in there to allow for that?
Well, I just thought though that in our regs or something that we had it for you owned that you were allowed one lot split.
No, sorry. We've never had that.
Did we
Last
allow,
Based on a one-time thing.
did we allow to build a house for a farm worker? I mean, to me, there seemed like we had something for one.
Yeah.
Well, it's an agricultural exemption to build an additional house.
Yeah.
Or even to split, but that, the house itself has to be part of the agricultural operation. And we
Yeah.
spoke to them, and you're right.
No, but they weren't trying to,
No, they
no
were
smoke
not.
and mirrors. They didn't know it. They just asked me and I really thought that we'd made a provision in there that if you could do it one time and then that was it.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
So what options are available for them then?
That's going to be a difficult one. We're going to meet with, I believe we're going to meet with the director. We're going to sit down and talk to him and see what we can come up with. The residential use designator, where this is located, by the way, is right in the middle of prime ag operations. There's small feedlots all the way around it.
Yeah.
There's dry lots and stuff. So there's a lot of cattle. And they told me where they wanted to do it. And the upper, it's like a quarter section, and it's on the northeast corner of the property. And that right there, I mean, they couldn't have gone a little bit further south away from all the activity, but no, they want to put it right here. And I went over the residential use designators, and there just isn't one that really applies. I know this. I told her, I said, you can confirm it. And as far as getting a LISA evaluation, the land
I told them that
evaluation,
they wouldn't pass.
it probably would not where they're at. It may be very difficult. The country estate, which it accommodates 20 acres and larger tracts, that's the only one that's subject to that LISA score. If you score strong for preservation, right off the bat, you're off the table. It's off the table. It's not even an option at that point. And so I thought, well, maybe an isolated home site or something, maybe we can try to finagle, but it's just open area. The only isolated part of that is the southwest corner of the quarter that you have to drive half a mile to get to it and cross a creek. So it's not easy.
Yeah, like I said, I was wrong. I thought there was somewhere that in 2025, we wanted to make sure that a landowner could work with their family one time, and I was wrong. So I guess that's I just wanted to clarify if I was out in left field, which obviously I was. So anyhow,
I guess the issue that I have going back to the lot of record is I think that deal is completely wrong, to where a person can go out and build in the middle of a pasture and get away with it and not, I mean, I can tell you there's two prime examples in this county. Number one is over on Rose Hill Road. A deer hunter bought a farm a number of years ago. It was considered a lot of record. He builds this big fancy cabin over there out in the middle of blue stem grass. Well, now Bob was just talking about the LISA score. Well, that right there, that would have thrown that deal completely out because it's prime agricultural grass.
Yeah.
Number two, Jordy Nelson's house. That was a lot of record. What's he do? He builds out in the middle of a pasture. Where's our LISA score on that? I think this deal is completely wrong, Bob. And I think that the lot of record needs to be reevaluated because people are putting these houses in the middle of prime grass. I mean, we're defeating the purpose of doing what we're doing if we let these people to do these kind of things.
If you take a look at how that was set up, it makes more rational sense. It was built, it was to accommodate the investment-backed expectations of someone who did buy a 20-acre tract in order to build. It goes back to what Tom was talking about.
Bob, they're more than 20 acres.
It's more than 20, it's 20 or more. It doesn't have to be a 20-acre, exactly 20-acre tract. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. And it's established between 1980 and 2012 when the rule changed. That 1980 date is when it went from 1 acre to 20. It made people think, okay, I gotta have 20 acres to build a house. Now that wasn't necessarily true. They could have subdivided and rezoned property and built a house. But the the thought process, the time, the minimum lot size for ag without rezoning or platting was 20 acres. So people subdivided to sell, people purchased the 20 or above to build a house. And right about the time we were looking at changing that regulation, that's when the housing bubble went. So people purchased the property, and then things went south as far as their employment or finances. Everything tightened up, slowed down, and stopped. And by the time it recovered, the rule had changed. Now, so we were thinking, okay, how many of these 20 plus acre tracts are there in the county? And we looked at it was more than that would render the plan useless. It was over 5,000. But to accommodate those people that had it, and maybe not so many lawsuits, we decided there was a rationale and an expectation that was if you purchased or subdivided off tracts of land for that purpose, which was totally okay as per the regulations, that's why we were basing it on that window. Now, anything prior to that that was larger than 20 acres, anything prior to July of 1980 is just considered an agricultural tract. It's not a lot of record. Well, they can have a 150 acre tract. Doesn't matter, it's just an ag tract. They don't get that benefit of being able to put a house out there.
I
So,
think that's
that's where it's
completely
at.
wrong.
Well, I might say that it's the way you look at it too. Like with Jordy Nelson's, I thought that Jordy did a fairly good job of putting that house there because we don't want it sitting on top of the hill out in the middle of everything. And so, you know, in the middle of it, it's along a road. It's just below the hill. I mean, the hill, so you can hardly see the roof. There's only one place that when you drive along there that you can really see the house and stuff. So, you know, I thought, oh, that's okay. You know, I can live with that better than the ones that where people have put them on the hill out in the middle of something. So it's all the way you look at it too.
That's true. And not only that, with Jordy, it's kind of a strange situation. You're going to have people who apply for agricultural exemptions because they're farmers, but they still want to check the status and see if that tract of land is a lot of record, just in case they decide not to build. So he's a farmer. He's going to be getting his stuff together and farming right there. And so you're going to have both situations there. I mean, we can discuss how better to do the lot of record, because we had a choice. We can say grandfather nothing and deal with the lawsuits, or grandfather everything and have no plan. So the rationale was based on a timing of where people would feel the need to deal with 20 acre tracts. And that's that window of time between 1980 and 2012. That's what it's based on. And that's just one lot of record. Again, there's one for tracts that are less than 20 acre tracts that were established prior to July 1980. Those, all you needed was a 1 acre to do anything. So if you have like a 3 acre tract and you can meet the sanitary code, you can build a house on it. We haven't had a lot of those though, to be honest. It's been the larger ones.
Didn't mean to stir up a hornet's nest. But I'd like to say I was sure wrong. The only other, I had just one comment about the annual reyear. I don't know if you all noticed it, was on the repair of the wastewater systems. I thought that was a lot. I didn't realize we had that many wastewater systems fail.
Oh yeah.
I consider, I think there's 60 or 65.
And that's a daily basis. That's just ongoing. It never stops.
Yeah. Was that about like normal? Your number?
Yeah, well, it was a busy fall. And I'm not sure if that was because of the pandemic, people had things to do and they just happened to walk out and notice it. Yeah. I'm not sure why, but Perry Piper, our environmental health specialist, was very busy.
I just thought that was a lot.
One other thing I wanted to point out to you guys before I forget, Lisa was the one that put this together and did a really good job. Yeah. So if you feel the need, kudos to her.
Yeah. A lot of information. And we'll use this when we address the comprehensive plan review.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments, concerns, or adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Yeah, okay.
Virtual meeting.
Yeah,
She moved, I'll second.
okay. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn our meeting this evening. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Diane joined. John and Diane, thanks for joining us. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us.
Oh,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Night, guys.